The technical term I've seen in the research for this strategy is anticipatory auditory imagery, but it's been around for many years and seems to have come from the brass world. The idea is to sing or hum in your head as you play, so that there's less bandwidth available to think too far ahead, or dwell on the past, or overthink technique and mechanics. If you've ever had a teacher who sang in lessons as you were playing to help guide or shape or direct your playing non-verbally, that's basically what you'll do for yourself in this strategy. It's a lot like what pianist Glenn Gould seems to be doing here, except that you're going to keep all the sound in your head and not sing out loud. There's another way of doing this as well. It's much more literal and exact. Whereas the first way involves humming or singing, the other way of approaching this is to create instrumental sounds in your head. So instead of humming the melody of a piece, you would create in your head the exact sounds that you want to hear coming out of your own instrument. So if you play the piano, you'd be creating piano sound. If you play the guitar, it'd be guitar sound, with every nuance and subtle detail that you want, from dynamics to articulation to color and so forth. The key thing is to focus on what you want to hear, not dwell on, judge, or analyze what's actually coming out of your instrument. I mean, you'll hear what's coming out of your instrument, and that's how you'll make those little tiny super quick adjustments in the moment, but you want most of your mental resources focused on what you want as opposed to what you're getting. I sometimes explain this to students by saying that instrumental audiation would be what they'd have to do if they were performing for an audience of deaf psychics. Because if the audience is deaf, there's no point in fixating on what's coming out of your instrument, right? Nobody can hear it. But if they're psychic and could read your mind, worrying about having a memory slip, or dwelling on a passage you just messed up, or wondering what the audience is thinking, is going to give your mind-reading audience a very weird performance experience. So you have to make sure the only thing your psychic audience can hear is the music that you want them to hear by making sure that's the only thing you allow yourself to think about in your head. Functionally, both work the same and are equally effective, but most people have a preference one way or the other, so I'd like to walk you through both of them so you can see which one works better for you. In a moment, I'd like you to pause the video, get your instrument, and play 1 or 2 lines of something you know well, while singing or humming in your head as you play. The idea is to give yourself some sort of target to hit, musically speaking, by vocalizing the essence of what you're aiming for as you trust your fingers to do their job. Okay, pause the video and give this a try. Now we're going to try the more literal version, where instead of singing or humming in your head, you're going to imagine instrumental sound in your head. So when you pause the video this time, play the exact same excerpt of music, but create in your head the sound that you want to hear coming out of your instrument. And if it helps, imagine that you have an audience of mind readers listening in on your thoughts, so it's imperative that you only allow yourself to think the sounds that you want them to hear, while you once again trust your fingers to do what you've trained them to do in the practice room. Pause the video again and give this a try. So, between those two ways of doing this, which one felt more natural and engaging to you? Like, which one helped you stay more present and get into the music? If you had a clear preference, then that's great. That's the one that you'll probably want to use. If you felt equally comfortable with both, that's pretty great too. Means that you might be able to mix and match them a little bit or switch back and forth depending on what the passage requires or what the piece feels like for you. If you weren't sure, on the other hand, or you felt equally uncomfortable with both, it might just be that you need a little bit more time to get comfortable with thinking this way while playing. I'd experiment with it for another week or so, trying each with the same bits of music, or maybe with a variety of styles of music to see if one or the other starts feeling more comfortable. One quick troubleshooting note. If you happen to find yourself making more little technical mistakes, that's actually okay. It probably just means that whatever you're playing isn't totally in muscle memory quite yet, and that it's just not at the level of automaticity it needs to be at for you to be able to start shifting your focus to non-technical things like this. With a little bit more practice, I think those mistakes will iron themselves out and you'll be a little bit more comfortable. In the next video, we will take a look at the rhythm-based strategy.